the book of Job, chapter 39, we are introduced to the eagle, the hawk, and the vulture. But was it originally talking about 3 different birds or only one? And why does it even matter? Stay tuned. Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum. Welcome to part 5, the last part of our 5-part series on the animals of Job, chapter 39. And we're going to find out whether it was actually talking about the eagle, the hawk, and the vulture, or only one bird. So let's find out what is the truth behind this question. We begin our investigation in verse 26 of chapter 39 of Job. And this is not so much a difference of contextual differences between two translations. This has more to do with doing research and proving all things. So we have a significant difference between both texts. So it does say in both translations, does the hawk remain steady by thy wisdom? There's an omission of remain steady, and this is really the key to uncovering whether it's 3 birds or 1. Having spread out her wings, unmoved, another key, unmoved, looking toward the region of the south. So the Septuagint is highlighting what seems to be the hovering and soaring ability of the hawk, whereas the Masoretic minimizes the hawk or whichever bird to flying only, not hovering, not soaring. So let me open our next image here. So let's answer this question. Here's a picture of what is known as the griffin vulture, and why this particular vulture is being highlighted, you're going to find out just in a few moments. So again, the Septuagint is focusing and highlighting the ability of the hawk to soar and hover, whereas the Masoretic only focuses on the hawk's ability to fly, not hovering. So the ability of soaring, flight, as we see in this image, and hovering, it shows Elohim's mastery of aerodynamics and aerospace engineering, we could say, because this is something that we as a race, mankind, has only achieved after 6,000 years of existence. We only recently mastered this ability to fly. Only the Wright brothers. It was only not even 200 years ago. But Elohim created hawks, eagles, and as you see in this image, vultures, the griffin vulture, with this ability on the first week of creation, over 6,000 years ago. But the ability to stay in the air, hovering for hours without even flapping, this is a skill that the vulture, and specifically the griffin vulture, supersedes both the eagle and the hawk in its ability to stay in midair for a lot longer periods of time. Let me just fact check this. Okay, I came back with the numbers. The eagle can hover or soar for between 2 to 4 hours or more, but that is the average given. Hawks were not given a specific number, whereas vultures spend 6 or more hours a day in the air. I've seen higher numbers in regards to the griffin vulture. Okay, I have a more specific number for the griffin vulture. They can remain soaring and in the air for 6 to 7 hours each day. Here's an additional interesting fact regarding how vultures are able to soar. They use what are called thermals. They are rising columns of warm air that are created by solar heating that comes off the ground in order to soar high into the sky without flapping their wings. And they save significant energy without flapping their wings. And when they fly in slow ascending spirals within these pockets of hot air, they gain altitude to search vast areas for food. So we're going to talk about altitude next. So in the next verse, it talks about, does the eagle rise or mount up at thy command? So while eagles typically soar at altitudes where they can still see even individual rabbits around 10,000 feet high, vultures reach heights that fall within the cruising range of commercial jets. That's around 37,000 feet up in the sky. So again, I'm talking about the mounting strategy. I mentioned this already, but let's just reinforce it. They don't mount, the vultures, they don't mount the air by flapping their wings. They wait on the Lord's wind. They find a thermal, again, a column of rising hot air, and they circle inside of it, letting the air lift them miles into the sky with zero effort. And then we have an omission. It says, the vulture remain sitting over his nest to make her nest on high. She dwells and abides on the rock, upon the crag of the rock and the strong place. This is an image of a griffin vulture in its home, in its nest, literally on the crag of the rock and the strong place. So golden eagles also build nests called eyries on high cliffs, but they are often more visible. They're perched like a crown on the highest peaks. And the Hebrew word that is being used for eagle, hawk, and vulture is all the same word. It is nesher. Nesher, nesher. Most likely this is a griffin vulture. So many species like the Egyptian vulture or the griffin vulture that I've been showing in this video are obligate cliff nesters. They seek out the most inaccessible, not accessible, jagged crags and deep caves or fissures in the rock. Okay, our next verse, verse 29. Thence he seeks food, his eyes observe from far, versus she seeks the prey, her eyes behold afar off. Next, on the topic of eyesight, do griffin vultures, do they match this narrative of seeing from afar, observing from afar? Based on biological statistics, for long-distance observation, the griffin vulture has even more specialized eyesight than the eagles. Let's compare. So we have the Middle Eastern hawk, 2.5 kilometers long-distance observation. That's her ability to see that far. The golden eagle, 5 kilometers maximum distance. The griffin vulture, on the other hand, 10 kilometers, double that of the golden eagle maximum distance. These are all Middle Eastern birds of prey. So the griffin vulture takes the cake. Verse 30. His young ones roll themselves in blood. Wherever the carcasses may be, immediately they are found. Versus her young ones suck up blood. And where the slain are, there is she. It's important to note that neither hawks nor eagles ever, never, they do not eat dead prey, also known as carrion. They don't scavenge. Only vultures do. So I rest my case. Let me just conclude with a statement on the griffin vulture. The Elohim of Israel in Job chapter 39 mentions the ability of this bird of prey, whether it's a hawk, eagle, or a vulture, their ability to hover, to soar, to remain steady, unmoved. So that's one ability. And then secondly, talks about the ability of this bird of prey to mount up to a great height, not simply staying in the air, but at a great height. And we can see the griffin vulture excels over both the hawk and the eagle in these two areas. And even the third area, of being able to have the greatest visual acuity. They can see their food from the greatest distance compared to both the eagle and the hawk, doubling the second best golden eagle. And then fourthly, talking about how they feed their young on carcasses, on the dead animals that they find. Why would Elohim pick a second or third best creature and not pick the ultimate representation of all those attributes that he listed in Job 39? Therefore, I rest my case. Not only does it show Elohim is the creator, but he has a very deep and intimate knowledge of the creature he made, and therefore he would use this very impressive and masterpiece of his creation, the griffin vulture. So that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed this series. I wasn't originally planning to do a series, but I felt it did not do justice to not only the content of this chapter, but even the creator himself. He wouldn't bring up these specific examples from his creation, if not to prove a point that he is in fact the creator, and he knows them to such a frightening accuracy and intimacy that he knows their lives. He knows what they're capable of. He's the one who made them that way. So having said all that, thank you very much for your time. Till next time, I bid you all Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum, Irini Mazisu, Pax Vobiscum, peace be unto you, and Maranatha.